Hey there, dear viewers. It is Jaime from G.E.N.T, and I am here with two unbelievably special people, huge icons in the world of video games and general nerddom. Mike and Jay from Filthy Casual. Hi, guys.
I guess basically Filthy Casual started out as a different company, so we weren't originally in gaming. We started Cherry Sauce Clothing just because we wanted to be able to say we were wearing our own clothes and make something cool that we would be happy to wear. And originally we sold that clothing at places like Warp Tour and also like kind of just online and stuff like that. And it was definitely catered more to the music crowd. And then we slowly evolved into more of the Comic-Con scene, and our stuff became more comic friendly, I guess. We quickly realized that there's a lot more money to be made in every industry that's not the music industry. So basically we started selling at Comic-Cons, and we did that for probably like 5 years or something.
Dude, we were actually streaming Dragon's Crown, and all of us had died except for Jay. And Jay was somehow soloing a boss and texting at the same time. And one of our friends in chat was like, "This is the worst stream I've ever seen. You guys were filthy casuals." And we're like, "Oh, that's kind of a cool name." And ended up looking up, there's no URL, no nothing. Like, no one had really done anything with it. So we did a joke shirt and put it online. Did like a really crappy photo shoot for it in my kitchen at the time. Sort of took over what Cherry Sauce was, and we became the Filthy Casual guys. So we sort of rebranded ourselves to be this gamer-centric premium clothing brand based on what worked for us. There are remnants of our Cherry Sauce past around there. We have it in our Dropbox and laugh at it from time to time.
Ever since we rebranded, we focused a lot more on like, or rather than the comic conventions, we focus on PAXs and E3s and the gaming side of things. And the brand has grown way faster in the past 2 years than it has in the past like 8 years. So it was always kind of just a hobby to us up until about a year ago, and then it started getting like way more busy, and now we're kind of starting to transition into it being like our full-time jobs.
With Filthy Casual, I mean, like, we have sort of a mentality behind what the company is and how like no one should feel out of place or that they're alone in the game industry, because, you know, we all love video games. No one could have told us then that, like, yeah, the gaming industry wants a fashionable like gamer wear brand, because it wouldn't have made sense, but we just sort of fell into that.
We realized like there's lots of companies that sell shirts, but they're all licensed merch of like other games, or like, Overwatch shirts, and like any game that's out there there's a shirt for, but there's no actual like clothing brands in that space. There's starting to be now, but like 3 years ago there was really not any kind of lifestyle streetwear brands. Like probably our biggest influencer originally, not necessarily like style wise, but just for like kind of company lifestyle, is like probably Johnny Cupcakes was like the main brand we looked at as far as anything, because they were they're small in the sense that they're not like Nike, but they're also like a higher end kind of premium shirt. So like it's not some cupcake shirt you're gonna find in like Zoomies or something.
And back when we first started too, I mean, there was a lot of clothing brands back then. Like, we were on a site called Empties, and it was just brands everywhere and band merch. And he was one of the only ones that sort of like stood out and actually survived that, I don't know, era of everyone having their own clothing line.
Yeah, we originally, when we started and we were using Empties, we became friends with lots and lots of shirt company owners, and probably only like 2% of them still exist.
I think a lot of people don't realize how much work anything is, and that there's no such thing as overnight success unless you're extremely lucky. And most people, after a year of like $300 in sales every month, just give up because it's a lot more work than it's worth to them at that point.
Yeah, and since we didn't jump into it as trying to be a job, like it was our hobby for like 7 years, so it didn't really necessarily matter that we weren't making full-time wages with it. It was, as long as we weren't like consistently losing money, there was no point in shutting it down or anything. So we just kind of stuck with it for a really long time.
Mhm. And the nice thing about that too is like with cherry sauce, we made a lot of our or most of our mistakes ahead of time. So by the time we became the filthy casual guys, we'd already sort of optimized and had things going well for us. Mm, I mean, enough. Like for me, I don't design by traditional means where you measure everything out and you have your gutters and you have your like just like very technical grid based. Everything to me is visual. So I'd sit there and just nudge letters until it felt right to me, and I'd send it to Jay and be like, "Oh, the Y looks a little bit too big." So like, it's all very visual and massage based, but like once we hit that one, we knew that was the right one. So
And it
it
was
doesn't take
never,
long. It just takes both of us sort of actively giving feedback.
yeah. And it was never like when that logo came out, like Mike said earlier, is it was kind of a joke shirt. Like it was never meant to get as big as it did. So it's not like we spent like months and months coming up with this epic brand idea. It kind of just evolved into filthy casual as it is today.
Yeah, we had no idea this market even existed. We just made it, and then it happened that the market knew what it wanted. It wanted nice clothes for gamers.
Yeah. Basically, like, I think that's part of the reason why we took filthy casual and ran with it, is because it was exactly the type of people that we are, where it's like you don't have to be a pro gamer to like video games, or you don't have to be like obsessed with something in order to enjoy it. So in a sense, it's like growing up we were always like the nerdy kids that stayed home and played video games instead of going out to bars and stuff like that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's a bad thing. And now, in a sense, like filthy casual has become the cooler brand in the industry, in a sense. So it's not something that we intended, but we felt that that quote fit very closely to what our brand is trying to represent.
Cliff's quote has always sort of struck a chord with me because I've always been like the super dorky kid as well. Like I'm sure Jay had a very similar high school and junior high experience, but like it was mostly like being a huge nerd, wanting to be cool, and then realizing that you didn't really fit in either categories because like the very nerd culture when we were in high school was like the kids playing D&D in one room, you had the computer guys in another one, and it was all very segregated. So like half the time I was at the skate park with my friend at the time, and the other half I was in the art room like drawing. So there's never really like a like nerds get together sort of thing. It was always very segregated and sort of like off doing their own thing. So when this started to be a thing, and we sort of realized that we were onto something, I wanted to sort of make it feel like there was a home where you can. It doesn't matter what you like. One of our friends has a "everyone's a nerd for something" kind of quote, and I feel like that also fits in nicely with us. Is like you don't all have to like the same thing. You don't have to be a hardcore Street Fighter player. You don't have to be like even if you play D&D, filthy casual can still apply to you. Like you enjoy it. Maybe you're not pro at it, but you know, we're all nerds for something, right?
And a huge part of like filthy casual is also the community that we've been trying to build with it. It's not just clothing brand, it's that we want to make everyone feel welcome. Like the video game space and the industry is kind of like where everyone that was outcasts in a sense during high school becomes friends again.
I don't know why people have to prove that they're a nerd all the time, but they'll like wear their Jurassic Park shirt or wear like whatever they love at the time, their Borderlands shirt, their anything shirt. And sort of like the whole point of this company is that like you can be a nerd and be fashionable too. You can like games but not have to wear the game that you're playing. You know what I mean? Like you can still look good and be a gamer. There's room for plenty of brands to do the same thing. I mean, look how many actual fashion companies exist out there. Like no one wears, well some do, but no one wears only Adidas every day forever and ever. Like you can have a lot of different stuff in your closet and be a fan of both. So I don't see it as a zero-sum game.
Probably like one of the first times though that like we realized it was bigger than we actually knew was when like Cliff actually tweeted at
the end of PAX Prime
during a PAX and was like, "What's all these filthy casual shirts I see everywhere?" Like it basically like it was big enough that someone that was influential to us noticed it.
And then we ended up meeting with him during PAX Prime, and at the end of the weekend, he said Filthy Casual's taking over Good for Them, which was kind of surreal since I was like, I've always sort of looked up to him. I think what's nice about it is a lot of it's up to interpretation, and even with like Jay and I sitting at the booth, we've had people come up and they've heard Filthy Casual in their market, and like we've had fishermen come up and like, oh yeah, Filthy Casual is someone who's new at the dock. So it's for some reason like unanimous across the board in every culture it exists. It means something different to everyone. I mean, to me, personally, everyone's always competing to be the best at something, and no one's just like confident being who they are, and that's sort of what the image is to me. I mean, for once, I don't have to worry about what to wear in the morning. I throw on my Filthy Casual shirt, and I'm stoked to wear that, and I feel like that resonates with a lot of people as well.
And it shows too, because like with Cherry Sauce, people would buy like one shirt or two shirts. Like we did have a lot of dedicated fans, but with Filthy Casual, it's like way more dedicated fans. Like there are people that own every single item that we ever put out, and it's not just like one or two people. It's like tons of people. It's like their entire wardrobe is our stuff, which is crazy and awesome. It shows that like it's not just a shirt with a logo on it. There's meaning to that person behind it.